You could play that game till the cows come home because they're looking dumber and dumber. And even if you record the conversation, you'd be like, how dumb can they be? You see some cases where the police are harass and harangue someone, and the person is flawless and beautiful, and he's like, yes, sir, no problem. Here, you want some ID? And it's just really sweet. And they put him in jail and hit him or whatever. And then when they start looking at the footage, they try to lose it at first or whatever. But when you start looking at the footage, you'd be like, man, those police were cruel. I mean, because you knew how to keep yourself right. I've seen people in footage where the guy was just awesome. The guy was calm. And even in his disbelief would be like, okay, so you're telling me I'm arrested for what? And, really sweet. And instead of being angry, he would be like, okay, put your hands behind your back. Yes, sir. Real sweet. But the way he answered them, and when you see the footage, you'd be like, man, these cops are criminal, they're cruel. I was like, why did you do all this? You see the guy is flawless and beautiful. He did everything you wanted. He gave you all the ID. He done all this, and here you are just haranguing and hurting him. What has he done? And they're like, yeah. And then they'll lie, come up with all these lies. Nothing is true. It's all a lie. So again, these are the steps that it takes to do the item or do an objective, and your objective is the objective, not these negatives. But these people are just stuck in these ignorant ways of just to project negatives, just to condition other people around them so they can become negative and feel bad. And they teach these children and then to do bad but not correct their behavior. Therefore, they become ignorant adults. They're actually little children that's never been disciplined or shown correctly, so they can perpetuate and continue this negative conditioning. And it has to be done over and over again, which, give me, disrespect to you, but it's wrong if it's done to them. And it's the hypocrisy within them that perpetuates this until eventually they hit the brick wall. And that's where you come, where Satan, or the shaitan is called the brick wall. In other words, you want crap? All right, this is where the crap stops. This is where the crap meets the crap. And then you'll say, oh, wait a minute. Is this what I've been doing? It's like, yeah, that's exactly what you've been doing. So now the crap is within the crap, except these are people with principles in higher places of the energy that actually guides you into this negative structure, but because you lack the understanding in order to differentiate exactly how this all works, you end up being the spoiled child that's ignorant, that's only left to the demise of other people who's going to take as you took. Now you're going to have to get everything drained out of you. So then that's their end objective, but they don't see that because they're so busy doing the opposite. So again, knowing your objective and not being like them, being with the negative, because that's what their objective is. So they continue to use these negatives, and they confuse all these different procedures. So this is usually what happens. So you're trying to make it simple, but that's not what comes out. Certain stores have different procedures. As a matter of fact, instead of all the stores having the same procedure, there's for that, and make it simple. Some places some stores may require you to have ID. Now, you go to another store for the same item, and they don't ask you for ID. So one store asks you for a card, identification, credit card. One will have you swipe. Another will have you put the card where you just tap it. Another one, you put the card where you got to push in. And one asks you for your ID with your credit card. Another store won't ask you for your ID with your credit card. One store asks you for your signature. Another store won't ask you for your signature on your credit card. So everyone is different, and then it's further changing, adding to the procedural confusion. And Some people will be like, okay, you gave me $20, I'm going to give you the change of that. Some people, you give them $20 and they don't say anything and act like you gave them $10 and give you the change of $10. You'll be like, wait a minute, I gave you 20. They said, no, I gave you 10. And then most likely they'll call the police on you. So when you give the money, you better off say, hey, I'm giving you $20. So this way there'll be no confusion. But if you say nothing and just give them the money quickly, sometimes you can be wrong. That's why technically they're supposed to identify the money you give them. Okay, you're giving me X amount of money. Here's the price. Here's the change. That's the way it's supposed to go. Quickly, easy, efficiently. But some of them will just take the money, give you the change, ask you. Some people give you a receipt without asking. Some people give you no receipt. Some people you got to ask them. Some people they'll be like, well, do you want a text to you, or do you want me to send you the receipt digitally? And they go through all these different ways. Again, further confusing as opposed to one simple, quick, efficient way of doing. So in other places, again, some having to do it this way, and then each one store has different ways of doing it. And so you'll see the confusion, and that's not even going to the interrupt, disrupt, and distract. Confusing almost every time you go out, which is almost a given. They always use that IDD. Always interrupt, disrupt, distract. In other words, confuse, prolong, or block. Some will give you the wrong order. Some will keep asking you the same question and making you feel like you're living in the same time, like you're reliving like a Groundhog's Day kind of thing. Every time you go to that store, they're using it in such a way. If it was positive, it would be a bad Groundhog's Day. But when you have a bunch of negative Groundhog's Day, you're going to think, oh man, I'm going out and they're going to give me a bad day. But that's them. There's nothing to do with you. They want to give you, and to prove that you're not in a Groundhog's Day, in other words, that it's different, switch up your game. Instead of reacting, you can react in any of numerous amounts of ways. You can be calm, you can be excited, you can make a joke about it, you can be serious another day. Proving that this is at the same time of the same day. You can choose different items. If they ask you the same questions, relay the question or change it, or one day answer quickly, the next day take a while to answer, and switching it up. And eventually they'll figure out, man, this guy got me down packed. Again, it's all a pattern, and it's like a game of thermonuclear war or a game of tic-tac-toe. Once you know the game, nobody wins. So, all in the effort to confuse the procedure, and it's easily defeated by, again, knowing, once you know the minimal amount of steps, you'll know exactly where it went wrong. To the very point as to where something is wrong, because you'll know that this is step 1, this is step 2, this is step 3. I go to the counter, I put down the item, they scan the item, they tell me how much it's worth, or I can see it on the computer or on the register. You give them the money, they give you the change and the receipt, and you're on your merry way, skipping happily. But that's usually not the way it works. They don't want a 1, 2, 3, 4, and then they'll be like, okay, hello, next, yes, blah blah, charge, pay, receipt, next, making the money. It's supposed to be about making money, but it's not. It's about them delivering negatives, and then they're going to take 10 people when they could have taken 50. Quickly, easily, instead of every 2 minutes somebody walk behind them, they start talking, they're on their phone, they act oblivious as to what the procedures are. And then they'll say, oh, well, this person's new. They do a lot of that. Oh, this person's new, they just started, they don't know any better. So why are they working? If you haven't trained a person, why are they there? It's also like if you go in for a job, you're supposed to get a test or blood work or a drug test or whatever before you work. Some people will hire you, and they were supposed to do that before because to see if you're clean, but the procedure will be later, and then they'll keep pushing it back. Oh, tomorrow you're going to a drug test, so tomorrow you go for the drug test. Oh, we're not doing it today, we're busy today. Next week you're going. So you go next week, and they'll be like, no, not next week, maybe next month. And meanwhile, you're wondering what's going on. These people, what's with the confusion? And the procedure is, even in their paperwork, the first is to get interviewed, then to see if, to take a drug test to see exactly what you're taking or what's going on, and then you get hired. But these people will do that differently. And so technically, once you get the drug test, they can fire you right away, but they hired you without the drug test. And it was supposed to be the drug test first in order to hire you in their own paperwork. Again, depending on their operations and procedures manual, and it'll be confusing. In other words, dualistic, saying one is before, one is after, and what is every so often. They can change it just so they can say this is the way it's supposed to be, and this person is breaking the procedure. But you could be breaking the procedure if you do or don't, because the paperwork is both. Says you can do and you cannot do. So you're going to be guilty just for existing. But the only way to know that is say, yes, can I have your full policy and procedures manual? And they will never, ever show it. Or make up one that's totally different, and it'll be one-sided. But and if they had a problem, they would bring out the other one, depending on what the situation was, because one is dualistic. Along with a lot of these holy books, there's the knowledge of the black and white. Again, we will go into that. It's a sort of science. We'll go into that, into gnosis. We'll break that down. It's real simple. I mean, I can break all this down into a few sentences, but you really need to follow the conditioning, in other words, to find all the nooks and crannies and how you get to that point fully. So somewhere along there's a proper procedure that needs to be done in order to fulfill that objective. It's like brushing your teeth. You take the toothbrush, you wet it a little bit, you put some toothpaste, and then you brush, and then you rinse out your mouth. You clean your toothbrush and you put it away. But you don't take the toothbrush and you take the toothpaste and throw it on the floor, and then brush your teeth by cleaning your ears, and then drink some soda. That's not how you brush your teeth. Or wash your hands. Washing your hands, simple procedure, but then you can do the wrong procedure. Some people do. They do these wrong procedures because their mind is fixed in such a way that it doesn't follow the quick, simple, easy procedure, which is conditioned and learned, and somebody had shown them, or they actually started going into the above knowledge and actually knowing how to speak to what the Bible's called God, and gain wisdom, and through learning, again, you're walking up the pyramid, you're going above, simple, making it quicker, easier, more efficiently, growing in strength, better, smarter, stronger. The problem doesn't lie in a certain department, doesn't lie only in certain stores or supermarkets and all these other insurance companies, the doctor's office, the hospitals, automobile repair centers, and so on. Now, there's a lot of good people. You just need to know who you're dealing with, because, there are good people. I'm not saying a lot of people are evil. There's great doctors. There's great repair centers. There are people who are beautiful people that work in a hospital. But there's some people that are crooked. Technically, they shouldn't even be there. But in any case, just know who you're dealing with. You see the doctor is rude, just walk out. I mean, personally, I'd be like, look, doctor, that was pretty rude. And I mean, I'm talking about just steady cursing and being obnoxious. If you get a chance, just record it real quick and be like, look, man, you don't have to be cruel, because that's his game. You just be like, I apologize, but I don't feel comfortable in this location, and or just don't even say that. Just say I have something to do. Some pop came up, and I need to go. I'll call if I need to reschedule, and that's it. Just leave, regardless of the sale. Blah 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 blah. There's no need to argue. They don't control you. You don't control them. We're trying to work together to fulfill an objective. So, one of the things that's rather humorous is when you come across when people try to excuse their actions generally find an excuse that won't match up what exactly took place. So when they always describe something, it was always wrong. Because they're in the wrong. They're not going to say, oh, I did this, and you can see what wrong they did, and that person did that, and they were really sweet. And then they would always want to change the narrative. This is the way, basically they're saying the way it wasn't. But some people will be moved to tears. That's how deep in this deception they get into it. They're moved to tears, and every word they're saying is lies and deception. So you can see him, and sometimes children learn this from their adults, and they start doing the same thing. So these improper procedures are being used in many locations in order to deceive or to confuse you as to what's going on. And even our schools, which are a lot of times the curriculum is poisoning our children in this process and continuing this negative deception. So you may want to communicate with people in a documented format so you can see that they continue to lie about their illogical procedures. So basically keep track. So you can see that Tuesday they did this, Thursday they did that, and Friday they did that. They're going to lie about all of it, but you have it documented, and the paperwork shows that you were there at a meeting, and you were there at a meeting on another day, and they'll be like, what did you discuss? And I said, they're going to lie through the whole thing. You could prove everything was a lie. But again, if the judge is corrupt, he'll lean towards their side. But again, use the corruption of the judge for your advantage. In other words, they'll negative and lie and deceive. All that is in your benefit. They lie and deceive. They lie and deceive. They're crushing you or opposing many against one, or a few, and they're doing that. But as long as you continue one way, they're digging their ditch, and you are being absolved because you're innocent. And as long as you continue that, like the Job effect, even when things go wrong, he maintained his positive at the end, and then continued that, and then that's when the blessings will always come, and it'll always be there, and will be your end objective. Negative people can dream up all kinds of things to try to confuse the many and use possibilities in order to do so. When negative people unite, they create negative households, negative companies, and negative organizations, and are called the them. So some people say them and aren't really sure, and sometimes they're involved in the them because they're caught up in the negatives. So therefore they're saying them, but not realizing that they are the very them that they're criticizing because they're following the same procedure. So one country might say them, they're bad, and then they go and control them, and then they continue doing the same procedures and they said that them was bad at, as opposed to actually being different. These negative organizations are a web of alliances, again, the them. And many people are caught up and not know that they're caught up in it. So they are actually criticizing other people, but at the same time being hypocrites. So they're not looking within themselves before they criticize the other person. But if they're clear-minded, they could easily not even criticize them, but actually show a way that they're doing bad, but not name-calling, but actually saying what is the good. So therefore, allowing the other people to save face. Don't throw them to the ground and throw them under the bus, but instead help them out of the bus. Help them see the light. And once they see the light, and then they themselves will want to walk towards the light, and once they get a taste of that light and power and happiness, they're going to be like, man, why was I doing that? Why was I walking down when I should have been walking up? And then once they get more of a taste, and then they grow better, smarter, stronger, they're going to be like, wow, I was on the wrong road all this time. Again, not judging people quickly, because some of them lack the understanding and were simply allowed to be a spoiled child without direction and correction. The negative organizations are a web of alliance, so they can unite against an individual to make it harder for you to pinpoint any particular problem. It could be so you can get the post office, the doctor, the school, the bus driver, and all these other people working against you. and you don't realize where the problem is. And then once you realize the problem and how it works, you can easily, before you even head out the house, you'll know exactly who's going to do what, how they're going to do it, and what they're going to say. And you're going to be like, wow, this is odd, because it's a certain gift to it. But again, once you get the full instruction for the human instruction, at the end, you're going to be like, somewhere along the line, something's going to click. Just, again, continue to follow the bouncing ball. Or say, some people will say, well, actually, you're paranoid. And or say, that's a conspiracy. Or, in other words, you saying you're ridiculous, but you can record it. And then once you record it, you'll be like, oh, actually,